I want to just continue talking a little bit more about what's been going on with the changes for CS2. There's a lot of like community argumentation right now, and I was gonna do like a video kind of pulling all of the like insane threads that I've seen, people saying the hit reg doesn't work, but if you put this value in, it does, and then it turns out that value doesn't even work in CS2, and things like this. And we look, there's somebody that was around for the beta of Source, or someone that was, well, I mean, shit, I was technically around for the beta of fucking Counter-Strike, but, someone who's around for the beta of Source and participated in that, and then someone who was around and participated in the beta of CSGO. This is just all standard stuff. This all happened the last time where everybody all claimed to have like these magical fucking cure-alls. And of course it was all bullshit and pie in the sky. And you end up with like two sets of influencers essentially around it. You have the people who like hate on it and say it's dog shit and it's a worse version than the previous game and therefore it can never be good and they won't play it and they won't participate in it. And then of course they do. And then you've got the other type of influencers that tell you, listen, we're just so lucky to have a games developer come down from up on high and engage with the community and listen to us, and we should really value this opportunity for feedback because it'd be really good if we could get on good terms with Valve. And of course that's bullshit too, because Valve will never operate that way. So there's a lot of that going on. It's just history repeating itself. I remember when we did the CSGO beta and everybody was fucking talking out their arse about, the fucking, oh, Valve aren't listening to the feedback because they weren't, like, replying to everyone on an individual basis. And, of course, there was, like, these private forums that the pros had access to and all of that stuff. And, like, again, I don't mind saying his name. I don't think he'd be upset. Like, Lurpis, who was over at HLTV at the time. HLTV was, like, a hotbed of, like, hating CSGO because they were fully invested in 1.6 and they didn't know what their future was going to look like because the only thing that holds HLTV up as a website, well, or certainly this was true back then, was just the stats database. That if you didn't have the stats database, then they didn't really have anything. They didn't do it. They didn't even do like video interviews. The few that they did weren't very good. They didn't write features. They only did roster reports after they'd already been officially reported, so they didn't even break news. So it was like, the website was sort of held up by virtue of two things: its statistical database and its database of photographs that no one else is allowed to even look at, or Nomad turns up and claims and threatens to poke your eyes out or something ridiculous. So that was where they were at, and they were running a lot of content where they would interview 1.6 pros who would say CSGO was the worst game ever and I hate it and I'll never play it and da da da. And then of course they all came over when the paycheck was there. So it's the same old shit. Everyone likes to position themselves as a hater when the game is sort of in a rough state at the beta. It's just another grift. It's just nonsense. Like, these people aren't actually, they're not going to quit playing Counter-Strike, and stand on their principles or anything like that. They're just going to piss and moan until the game gets released officially, and then they're going to go all in and just play it like they never hated it in the first place. You remember when I showed you that Dota video of that guy who was like, Dota's dead. It's dead, and it's going to be dead by November. Valve don't care. They've given up. And he said this like 2 weeks before they essentially released Dota 3. This massive overhaul of the game, a huge content patch. And, he just goes back to making videos about how great Dota is again. You know what I mean? It's just a grift. It's just a hustle. And so, I've been looking at all of these, like, threads. I've seen people complaining. Like, we got one in the chat now with Dolphin Kiss, like, complaining about the ELO system. And it's like, it's a beta. Valve are probably experimenting. Why would you even care about your elo? It's all going to get reset and wiped anyway when the game officially gets released. I don't get it. I don't get what you're upset about. What you're meant to be doing now is playing the game, noticing things, and then providing feedback through forums in a easy, digestible format, so Valve can go, okay, that doesn't work. We'll change it. But the elo system they're going to have in CS is going to be a lot more closer to like Dota. There's going to be like, seasons and resets and stuff like that. That's what's happening. So it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Obviously as well, the other fucking thing that I've just seen lots of, and it's just so like immensely frustrating, the mods aren't deleting this because it's obfuscating important feedback is all of the skin cells are all coming out and they make a thread. Like there's a thread for every skin every day. It doesn't look as nice as it did in the CSGO. And look at the lighting. And it's like, they're all obviously going to fix that, guys. It's a totally different engine. Things are going to look different. You fucking losers. Can you just shut the fuck up about it? And of course, this is all driven by people like fucking OwnerPixel going, oh my God, look at it, look at it. So the value of the feedback we're getting right now is absolute trash, and it's not helping. So I was going to do a video all about that. To his credit, obviously, I think he's a fucking lunatic, and how anybody can't see through the nice guy facade is beyond me after the way he's behaved towards me and the lies that he's told about me, but whatever. But he did do a good video on it, did old Clixy, on about sort of, you know, the value of important feedback and how people were getting shit wrong and a load of stuff was like placebo. So it kind of feels redundant for me to do it. But so we'll see. But there's a chance that there might still be some value in that. But what I want to talk about today is basically the reason why MR12 is being taken on as being the go-to format moving forward for the game. There's very sort of few good features over on HLTV, as you know, but there's a lad called Nero. He writes some articles over there from time to time, and he does a more like analytical approach, and he basically really put into data what I'd been complaining about for a long period of time. And you have to understand, as someone that's worked in the world of broadcasting, you know, I'm always thinking about it from a viewer perspective. I don't play the game. I don't really care about any of that stuff, frankly. It's beyond me now. Like, I'm not interested in it. I'm never going to have the game installed to play it. I don't want to play it. You know, this is me getting off the Counter-Strike merry-go-round now. But from a broadcast perspective, I'm always thinking about how can we make the game better for the viewer, more fun, better to engage with. How can tournament operators create a more exciting product? And this is relevant because at the time of recording this, we've got this ESL Pro League going on, which has been diabolically bad. I mean, this is the worst pro league I think I've ever sort of sat through. I find myself now, like, I've got to be honest, I barely watched any of it. I don't care. With the expanded format, the prospect of sitting down to watch, like, 3 maps of Rooster EG is, like, I think I'd rather, I don't know. I'd rather eat cold shit, I think. And it just keeps going and going and going, and the stakes don't matter, you know. And it's just like no one's playing good Counter-Strike because no one cares. I don't know how to really sort of, like, I'm sure everyone's figured it out, but the reality is no one cares anymore. CS2's round the corner. There's no major this year. This is just a contractual obligation. And the games that I have seen, I've seen players running around with shotguns because obviously everyone's using the shotgun in CS2. I've seen people just doing like shit tactics, terrible retakes. Like, nobody cares about this EPL anymore. And it's crazy because it's a big money event, part of the fucking Intel Extreme Masters Grand Slam. It should still have some value, but nobody cares. It's just 5 weeks of the summit. That's fine. I have no problem with the laid-back approach to a broadcast. In many ways, it's the only thing you can do, because trying to hype some of these games is, like, actually ridiculous. In fact, I guess we can sort of start there, right? Because, you know, I do want to just put it into context. One of the big reasons I said in my MR12 video prior to this, one of the reasons I was looking forward to it was that if this is what Counter-Strike has to be like for the ecosystem to function in some kind of sensible way, and understand this is essentially a glimpse into the future of what non-partnered leagues will look like. You have to understand that. We don't want partnered leagues. Okay, this is the alternative. This is what it's going to look like from 2025 onwards. Dog shit teams playing in these tournaments, and it's going to be dull. What you have to do is you have to make the formats interesting, so every game matters. Like, you know, we are going to have to go back. You know what the Gamers 8 format was like? Maybe that's what formats have to be moving forward, because you can't. There's no value in an upset. You know, if Rooster beat, you know, Na'Vi, for example, it doesn't matter if Na'Vi have 2 more chances because you would expect they're a good enough team to be able to take them. Meanwhile, can Rooster sustain the success? Well, no. So what you need is you need stakes to sort of like really make the upsets matter. And of course, these leagues are designed to, even when they allow the shit teams to participate, they're designed to filter out the shit because all the team owners want the big teams, they want their team to have more airtime for their sponsors. They're a partner in the league. So anybody who's like, oh, this is super benevolent by ESL Pro League. No. If it was benevolent, there would be a format that actually matters. So there was some sort of stake, some sort of skin in the game, you know, for the teams that are participating. But like, as I said, I'll just show you this like never-ending format first, just so we can kind of, you know, get a sense of why I want MR12 to happen, because less of this is good. Less of what I'm about to show you is very good. So this is the format here, and basically for each group, you just have these little mini brackets, which is sort of standard, and you can just sort of see, like, if you look at some of these games, like, I mean, this one isn't so bad, although again, I don't know, like, how excited can you realistically get? You know, like, I remember when we were told like teams like Gamer Legion were going to be like the next fucking these are tier 1 teams, and then they like sold a couple of players and now they're just absolute dog shit. But like, how excited can you get for fucking Greyhound Gamer Legion? Like, really? Like, how does that whet your appetite? What about, you know, Movistar Riders Gamer Legion? It's like, ugh, you know, so you do that and you go to Group B, and what have we got here? Well, I mean, Heroic shit the bed, because remember, the top 10 doesn't even mean anything because no one's trying, no one cares. CS2's here, you know, you've got fucking Evil Genius is still allowed to just stink up the joint. Remember, Monty were meant to be the next big thing. Well, that didn't work, and you know, we've just got through. Well, Group C, Group D's about to start. It's like, oh, brilliant. We're going to see Complexity 99, are we? I can't wait. G2 versus Lin Vision. This is awesome. So, you know, this is what it's got. This, at the moment, these best of threes and best of threes in a low-quality environment. I just want less rounds because, as I'll show you now, the data really shows that we've allowed the time of the average Counter-Strike game to creep up to just astronomical proportions. And remember, these are the games now, so it's like you're not getting an epic fucking best of 5 on a good map pool between Prime Na'Vi and Prime Astralis. No, these are the types of games you're getting. So I'll start with this point and then we'll look at some of the other data. But a full CSGO best of 3 is longer than most major sports. And it even compares it, right? One of the 2 biggest criticisms that get aimed at American football, the NFL, and baseball, the MLB, is that the games are too long and they're too boring. That's like the biggest criticism. Now remember, esports is meant to be an antithesis to stick and ball sports. And yet what we're getting is, in an average series, if it goes all the maps 2-1, it's 3.5 hours long. And that's just fucking absurd. Like, it just... There's just no justification for that. Keep in mind, we know a few facts about what's happening to like attention spans and stuff. We know trending content is getting shorter and shorter. In fact, I even saw a comment on the Valorant subreddit where somebody had made a 10-minute video. Can't remember what it was about, but it was like a 10-minute video, and it was about something like a popular topic, you know, about a popular player. It was something like that, and it was uploaded, and then it was downvoted. It was on like 30%, and it's the type of content that should do well. And in the thread, the comments were, "Has anyone got a TLDW for this 10-minute video?" It was a 9 minutes and 38 seconds video, and there was Valorant fans, Valorant Zoomers in the chat asking for a summary, and it got downvoted because it was too long. So that is the esports audience now. You know, teenagers who sit there scrolling on like two phones, watching TikToks in 10-second increments. The dystopia is here. I remember when it was like a period of time where everybody was saying 10 minutes was the ideal length. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. I remember people saying to me when I used to do like a 30-minute or a 40-minute video, could you get that down to 20? That would be better. People would engage with it more. And here we are now where 10 minutes, what was always sold as like the optimal length, they're not going to watch it. Now, you put that into, you know, all the trends are that content is getting shorter. If you want to be generous, you can say more succinct. I don't see it that way. And we have a game that is like a best of 3. So keep in mind as well, we do 3 best of 3s a day typically. So if you want to watch all the games in this tournament, let's say you're a super fan, I am once again asking you to give up over 10 hours of your day, potentially. And no one's going to do that. Nobody has time for that. Nobody's going to do that. And yeah, you might get a few 2-0s. Dude, like an hour per map with a 15-minute break in a 2-0? 2 hours and 15 minutes? I'm sorry, like, it's too long. And, you know, look, the players have got to take a little bit of the blame here. I know they never do. It's players that insist on the 15-minute break between maps. That's fine. They all go out, they all smoke or whatever, or pop another snooze in or, you know, whatever you need to do. But they also fought for the timeouts, right? They also wanted the timeouts, and they always use the timeouts. It's like, I don't know, guys, maybe we really needed to be trimming the fat on this. You know, the economic changes as well were brought in because people used to complain about blowouts. Oh, it's not fun when one team's better than you and you can't get your economy going. It was good enough for all the other years of Counter-Strike. Used to go to tournaments and you would regularly see 16-3, 16-5s because the game just got out of hand. One side snowballed the lead. That was fine for years. That was fine. And we all lived with it. And then suddenly it wasn't fine. And then from 2019 onwards, we've just had attritional Counter-Strike that's got worse and worse because we keep bringing in like these weird fucked up economic changes that make it super hard for CTs. And we make these ridiculous maps where it's like one side is like, you know, fucking, it's just super boring. So people have to sit there for ages deploying all of their utility before they decide to go fucking the bomb site they were always going to go to because it's the easier site to take. It's trash. It's just all trash. CS has become really fucking boring. Anyway, so this, I knew the games were too long, but I never thought to like just sit down and time a bunch and look at the average. And you can see here, like, this is the result of measuring the time of average CSGO best of 3. You can watch 2 Formula 1 races before the average Counter-Strike 3 mapper is finished. Even the commercial-laden NFL wraps up a game before 3 maps of CSGO. In an esport that wants to retain its viewership as fans enter their busy adult lives, it is inevitable that those adult fans, the ones with the pockets deep enough to justify the sponsor-based ecosystem we rely on, will find it hard to follow the scene as well as they might like. A move to MR12 should bring Counter-Strike 2 into a more comparable zone to other sports, though still just above Valorant, which has a shorter round and bomb timer. A slogfest of a best of 3 with overtimes will still cross the 3-hour mark more often than not, but the same is true of other set-based sports, and few fans would complain about a long tennis match. Long games more often than not mean good games. But that's not true in Counter-Strike. Long games in Counter-Strike are very rarely good games. You do get some, but often it's because you're on vertigo, or it's because the CT economy is just broken, or and so you are always going to get all of the rounds. You're always going to get all of the rounds. You're always going to get ebbs and flows to the game because we don't do hard resets anymore. We let people build up their bank, and it's just shit. Like, I remember when we used to sit in the green room, all the rounds as a joke, that used to come out of the fact that whenever you were waiting to get home, and it was the last map of the day, you could always be guaranteed that'd be the game that ran long. And the joke was all the rounds. But now it's just all the rounds, all the time, in every single game. And it's just tedious. It's just tedious. Like, I don't enjoy, I've said it many times, I haven't enjoyed watching Counter-Strike from round about Rio onwards. We've got a really shit meta, shit map pool, shit economy, and so less rounds. It's not the perfect fix because you should be fixing those problems, but less rounds, fuck it. Less rounds equals less saving. I saw somebody, it might have been Stico, I'd like to pick his brain about it, but he said because you will get fewer gun rounds, people will save more. But it's not physically possible to save more if there's less rounds to save in, is how I see it. I don't think you will. I also think as well, why don't we just use this as the opportunity to get rid of pistol rounds? I keep saying it. If pistol rounds are going to be potentially, 3-0, and that's a quarter of a half of CS, then why not just fucking get rid of them? Why not just get rid of them now? Just makes sense. Like, we can really revolutionize the game here and make our esport exciting again. Anyway, they interviewed Alchemist. He said, Alchemist, who worked on production for E-League, right, that's Jason Alchemist Baker, believes that the overall level of production would be higher under MR12. The longer your days go, things get missed. It takes a lot of concentration, especially in a game like Counter-Strike, because it's non-stop. A round happens, you come back, reaction shot, graphic, replay, and you're back in. You're pumping all of this stuff into a 20-second window if you're lucky. Then you're just cycling as fast as you can, and you're on as a producer, and a director, and a crew. You're on non-stop. The adrenaline of the game keeps you going, but it's long. It's fucking long. If you can keep overall broadcast days into the 10 to 12-hour range, you're going to have a better broadcast. And this is the other thing. You have to understand, a broadcast isn't just what goes out. It's not like they hit the button to start and they hit the button to end, and it's instantaneous. You have to build your show at the start of the day. All the graphics, all the highlight packages, they typically get rendered overnight, and sometimes someone might be sat there rendering them overnight because you have to make sure your fucking, your Vegas doesn't crash or whatever the fuck. And so you build these, like, outrageously long shows, and the production people work these, like, inhumane conditions, frankly. Like, it's fine to, like, work a 16-hour day, maybe do 2 16-hour days back-to-back on minimal sleep, but then you would want 2 days off, you know what I mean? But you don't get that. What you get instead is you just get this you get a week of that, 5 weeks of that, with a couple of days off. It's too much. It's just too much. So obviously it's good from the broadcast perspective. You can see here as well, games have been long ever since the round timer increased. And this is the average time it took to complete one map at major playoffs, which includes all the half times and all the overtime. So it includes the halftime breaks. And if you look at this, there was a period of time where we had the sweet spot. And it's always been hard-coded in my brain. But, like, back in the 2014, 2015 era, right, look how fucking good it was. 40 minutes, 45 minutes. For years, that was kind of like the standard. And that's about right. That's about what people can sort of commit to mentally in terms of a narrative. You think about, like, the games that we play, like, in esports. You think about, the average game of Dota. If you win in 42 minutes, you go, all right, yeah, that was fine. Queue up another. If the game goes to 60, you kind of go, that was a long one. I think I'll have a 5-minute break, And obviously, this is back when we didn't fucking do the economy the way they did, so you had your hard resets if you lost. But just as you can just see This is when we changed the round time and the bomb time. I remember Columbus vividly because we had a drama around that there. I obviously was a journalist at Cologne. I didn't work that one. But then it was like Atlanta, we were creeping towards the hour mark. You know, then we had Boston, same thing. But look at it now. Like, look at Rio. Look at Rio 20. Look at Stockholm, for fuck's sake. Which, by the way, people didn't mind Stockholm 2021 because it was the first, like, LAN back after the fucking pandemic. But, man, the games were fucking long. They weren't fun. And then you had, like, Rio. And not only were the games not fun, like, it was like, this is where the save meta was just taken to this ridiculous extreme. So every map, over an hour, like close to like an hour, 2 minutes, an hour, 5 minutes, and it's Virtus Pro. It's Jane hiding in the corner with an AWP. It's 5-on-5 saves. It's saves in the pistol round. It's like, we have fucking killed this game. We have, like, took the best esport and we have turned it into absolute dog shit. And, you know, maybe we can't fix that because it doesn't look like no one's talking about bringing back hard resets or abolishing pistol rounds outside of me. Like, that's mostly my thing. But, like, at least if we go MR12, we get back to this. The quality of the game might still be dog shit, but there's less of it, so whatever. If you're personally invested, you won't care. It won't drag. You won't have to commit as much time out of your day to watch the games that matter to you. So, fine, let's do it. Anyway, it says here, and this is an interesting little factoid you have to remember, that change was made, the bomb timer change, to help tease because of the power of CT saving smoke grenades. But would it not be possible for the duration of smoke grenades to be shorter and to keep the round timer at 145? For whatever reason, that was not the path Valve ventured down. It wasn't the path Valve ventured down because that was the path everyone suggested. We said, nerf smokes, right? I was there. I remember it distinctly. And this is the problem you've got when you deal with Valve. All the pros, all the community, all the casual players, all the pundits, all the casters, we just said nerf smokes by making them shorter, make them bloom, make the bloom last for a shorter period of time. And everyone went, yeah, that's the compromise. That's it. And Valve went, yeah, that's good, but we're smarter than you because we're a games developer. So what if we simply made the rounds longer and the bomb take longer to go off? And it's like, yeah, but that's more complicated and potentially brings in a raft of problems. At least we know if we reduce the bomb, if we reduce the smoke timer, at least we know you can't just launch a smoke down at the end and essentially do a smoke defuse that the T's can't do anything about or hold them off, get them out. No, they didn't want to do it. They said, no, this is definitely the way to go. And everybody just fell in line because it was like Valve. And we went, okay, we'll give it a go. That was the start of all of the problems that we've had. So we should have fucking put our foot down then. We should. I don't know if we do, but we could have fixed it ourselves. Like, listen, Valve, don't you worry about the formats, and don't you worry about bomb timers, and don't you worry about... Give us the CVARs, and we'll just put the values in ourselves. We'll do it. That's how we used to do it in Source. You never came in with an official edict about how Source was going to work, apart from that one time with dynamic weapon pricing, which was fucking dumb. And we all argued about it, and you gave us a CVAR, and then we could change all this stuff manually. That's how we used to do it in 1.6. We will manually decide how long shit should be. Just give us the commands to do it. Now, we're having to fall in this official format, and there's just a ton of other stuff to fix in the game. So, but this is why I'm a proponent of MR12, because none of this matters if there's just less Counter-Strike for it to fuck up. Anyway, it says here, another thing to remember is how punishing Counter-Strike's economy has been for most of its history. MR12 is essentially resetting matches to the amount of gun rounds teams need to win before the economy update of 2019 by way of removing 2-3 eco rounds per half. There are now enough gun rounds, even in MR12, that the better performing team should win in the vast majority of cases. Still, CTs need more help in the economy. Round 3 should be a gun round for either side. That doesn't mean massive changes. A $400 incendiary, a $200 defusal kit, and both M4s being $2,900 will go a long way towards that. The $800 bonus for planting the bomb on T side might also need to be reconsidered, perhaps reduced to $400 each, and counterbalanced with a $400 CT team reward for defusing the bomb. And again, this is like a really sensible change, because we know now we've been heading in this direction where it's like the CTs have to be fucking rolling around blinged up every fucking round because of what you need to do the CT job of stopping Ts getting onto sites or doing retakes. And another reason why we have more saves now is because very often CTs are cobbling together rounds where they don't have full utility for retakes, so they use their initial flashes and smokes to get positioned and maybe stop a push, but once that's used, there's no more utility left for retakes, so you can't even risk the retake. You might be willing to do a 3-on-5 because you've got the guns to do it, but without the utility to get positional advantages, you can't, so you have to save. And so we need to address the economy by taking out these little advantages that Ts have, like that $800 bonus for planting the bomb, which feels way too much right now when Ts can literally buy every fucking round. They can just buy and buy and buy, while CTs are having to decide, do we force this round or save fully for a full round? It's too much. Like, T sides are meant to be the ones where IGLs have to do the most thinking. That's meant, the game has always been balanced that way. You are meant to be the tactical mastermind that knows how to get your Ts onto the bomb site and then hold on to it with crossfires and layering of utility and things like this. That's meant to be the side that IGLs get the work done on. Now you can just brute force rush the same bomb site over and over and over and over again, and it's fine. And if you ever find yourself in a position where your economy's bad, even your force weapons are better than the CT force weapons. A Galil is, legions better than a FAMAS. It's ridiculous. So they really do need, instead of everybody getting, their panties in a bunch about MR12, accept MR12 as being a welcome thing. And let's actually start collaborating to get some of these bigger changes into the game that are going to make these games more exciting, because that's what we really need to do. There was the little point here, it's not really that big a deal, but it says here, winning the CT pistol gives us a far smaller advantage than before. It's because the Ts get to have a gun round earlier, which, again, I don't like pistol rounds. Pistol rounds shouldn't guarantee you 3 rounds. That is broken. It was one of the reasons MR15 became so popular in the first place. But I don't like the idea of it on the CT side. I think you should get an advantage because the rest of the rounds are harder in the current meta. So this is another thing that CTs just have to contend with, which is just absurd. And then right at the top, with the new economy, it says a percentage of full buys. You can see it's slowly crept up to, we're around 73 to 75%, which sounds great, but then you realize the reason you get fewer ecos is because on the T side, there's just no need to eco. You just don't have to do it. It's so rare, and it never used to be like that. You always just force up, and if you're regularly getting bomb plants, you don't even need to force because of the $800 bonus. So, I don't know. That just seems like insane, frankly. If we're going to stick with the economy as it is, then ecos have to be a regular part of the game. But that's not how it is right now. So, for me, I've said it, we should abolish pistol rounds, 10k start money. Let's fucking rock and roll. Let's bang. Let's have way more buy rounds. 10k. You're still looking, if you lose 2 rounds, you're suddenly in a force position. You might not be able to get an AWP. Things change. It's dynamic. It doesn't mean it's not MR9 where you start with 16k. So I don't know, but I'll tell you, you look at that data, and it's no wonder the games are boring. I guarantee as well, the pros, they're not enjoying playing in this meta, and no one's really saying anything about it because it's just like it's an inconvenient truth. But for me, it's just more reasoning why MR12 needs to happen sooner, because it can't come soon enough. The new format, frankly, I'm 100% in on it. I can no longer just I as a fucking lifer in esports, I can't justify 3.5 hours watching that garbage anymore. I just can't do it.